The number one objection, right? Brett, this sounds amazing, but I need my trusted advisor to say yes before I move forward. I just don't understand why my CPA doesn't know about this. And I want to tell you a couple deal stories to help you gain credibility. Again, even if you have no DST or tax deferral experience. And the first one has to do with this gentleman named David Young. And how many of you have heard of PIMCO before? PIMCO, anybody? So one of the largest money managers in the world, most respected, and a guy named Bill Gross. Anyone hear of Bill Gross before? Okay, Bill Gross, really smart. Well, Bill Gross' right-hand man was David Young and about four other guys. And they took PIMCO from 80 billion to 1.2 trillion over like a 15-year period. They all retired. David and his team get a little bit bored after retiring for this big payday, and they form a group called Anfield Capital out of Southern California. And guess what? They get approached with the Deferred Sales Trust about 3.5 years ago. And like most people, they're very skeptical, right? And you can imagine these guys, they're managing money for some of the large endowments, sovereign wealth, and pension funds. They get approached from people all the time trying to sell them their tax thing to get access to their clients. So they're very cautious, right? And I interviewed David, and I asked him this question. I said, David, like what is it about the Deferred Sales Trust? Walk me through your due diligence on this. He goes, well, Brett, first of all, we're economists and we're money managers, and we help financial advisors help their clients, ultra high net worth. So by nature, we do a lot of due diligence. And by nature, we're very cautious, okay? Very conservative on our approach, okay? And he said, we did a 2-year due diligence. We talked with the banks. We had our attorneys look at it. We flew back and met with the attorneys. We went through this exhaustively, and we found out 2 things at the end of this research. One, the person who created it, he's a tax attorney out of the Midwest. He's the smartest person we've ever met. By the way, he's the smartest person I've ever met too. Number 2, we are all in. We'll become a part of the Inner Circle or the Deferred Sales Trust New Asset Allocation Advisory Team. And so this is really the question right now. I'm just going to post it to all you guys, okay? So take yourself off mute so I can hear you if that's okay. So Jim, Jeff, Bill, and Tim, here's the question for you right now. If it's good enough for David Young and his legal team after 2 years of due diligence, exhaustive research on the Deferred Sales Trust, talking with clients, talking with the banks, looking at the allocations, looking at the investment opportunities, is it good enough for you and your legal team?
It validates
the biggest of the big guys right there. If they've done the diligence for you, right? You're riding their coattails.
You got it. They're much smarter than me, right? I mean, these guys are, I'm a humble, real estate guy. Grew up in a family of rentals and construction, and Marcus and Millichap, learned about the Deferred Sales Trust, 1031s and stuff. But David Young, I mean, this guy is, I think he sits on, he's a professor of economics at, I think it's USC or UCLA. And I mean, he's brilliant. And in fact, you can hear his whole story. You can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com and you can listen to David tell his story. And you can get on the phone and call him. I can probably call him right now. He'd probably answer his phone, right? He's great. He loves to share his story, right? And this is the biggest thing to understand, right? That the people who helped us get there, right, to get us from the first 0 to 4 million are typically not the people to help us exit well or get to 4 to 10 million or 10 to 20 million or 50 to 100 million or 100 million to a billion. It's going to take you as the seller or you as the business professional being open-minded enough to say, I'm going to trade the joy of being right or having my CPA think that he knows all the answers to all the questions for the joy of what's true, right? And leaning on and being open-minded enough to see who is it that I can lean on with experts who have done due diligence already. And it's right here available that you can talk with, pick up the phone, talk with our clients, do the thing. By the way, thousands of closes, billions under management, a dozen no-change IRS audits. It's literally batting 1,000. But guess what? It's tough for people, right? And you can understand this because they're selling their asset for $4 million and you're asking them to trust somebody named Brett on a podcast, on a YouTube channel about millions of dollars of their net worth and their clients' net worth. Now, here's the good thing. We work with third-party financial advisors, right? So it's not just trusting Brett. And then, of course, there's the tax legal team, and there's the bank, and there's David Young, and there's a lot of other people, and the funds never move without their signature or their approval, and there's all these checks and balances in place and all of these things, right? But the point is, the earlier we can educate, the more likely they are to be able to digest the know, like, and trust factor, right? The more we can educate and have them, send them this webinar and have them watch it, right? The more they can start to become believers, right? And not just skeptics. But you can't blame them for being skeptics. I was a skeptic too. I looked at Robert when he presented in 2009 saying, this is crazy. But I was open-minded enough to say, you know what? I'm going to give this thing a shot. I'm going to see if it's really real. I'm going to talk with the clients. I'm going to start sending deals, which leads into the second story, okay? The second story, which is this. This is Cal Garvin. Now, Cal is a financial advisor, okay? And for 35 years, he's in Los Angeles area. He's one of the most respected top LPL advisors, and he's built a multi-million-dollar business, okay? And he wants to sell and move out of California. This is 15 years ago, so he's way ahead of the curve, right? Which is everyone else moving out right now. It's like, we want to get to the Midwest. We want to get out of here. We're done with California. But my practice is in Southern California, and if I sell, I'm going to get hammered with capital gains tax. And like a lot of people, he gets approached with a lot of things. Guess what? He gets approached with the Deferred Sales Trust. And he goes, this is too good to be true. This is too good to be true. I'm not sure this thing is legal, but here's the thing. He's a really smart guy, but he'd be the first one to tell you his wife is even smarter. In fact, she worked for the Secretary of Treasury as like a G4 attorney. It's like a G, like a 5-star or 4-star general. Like that's kind of like this equivalent that she was way up there for over 20 years. In fact, there were certain times where she's with the IRS and they're looking at stuff that people shouldn't be doing. And so he goes home one day. He's like, honey, I got this thing that I heard about. And I'll tell you what, if you say no to it, I told you when we got married, I'll never, never, never do something that you don't feel good about. But if you look at this thing, what it means is we get 10 years back of our life, meaning what our practice would have to sell for after tax would take me 10 years to build it up to. Versus if this thing works, we can sell today and pre-tax roll it all into the Deferred Sales Trust. He goes, but if you don't feel good about it, I don't mind. I'm going to go back to work. No problem. But would you do me a favor? Would you take this and go and look at this thing with your expertise and the people that you know and you work with? So he said, sure, honey, I'll do it. I don't know if you guys seen the show Suits. Anyone see the show Suits? Okay, and there's like Mike is the young guy, and there's like is it Harvey? Harvey, you want to see that? It's a really cool show. Anyways, there are these big power attorneys, and they walk in with their papers, and they like slam them on the table. Like it's like at the end of like the episode, like see, and they like they do like the lawsuit, and it's always like this dramatic thing. Anyways, he goes, it was like slow motion, Brett. She came in through the door. It's like a movie. She opens the door, and I'm sitting in my home office, and she comes in. And she puts the papers on the table. And she didn't slam them on the table. But she said 2 words to me that changed our lives forever. She says, it's legit. He goes, that's all I needed to hear. I went from too good to be true to not sure it's legal to 100% all in. I said, Cal, will you come on my show and tell me all on this podcast? He goes, no, Brett. But anyone who wants to call me, I will talk to them. Okay? Who's a serious candidate that's working with you and Robert? No problem. And so here's the question, Jim, Jeff, Bill, and Tim. Same question as David Young question. If it's good enough for Cal Garvin, who's been in the business for 35 years and has a wife who's a G4 attorney who reviews this thing and they do the deal for their actual sale. And by the way, he also told me this. He goes, Brett, but before they call me, here's what I want you to tell them. Tell them this. Do you think my wife and I, her 20 years in the government, my 35 years in financial finance, do you think we would ever put our financial legacy and our future at risk with something that we didn't believe was 100% legal and it worked? I said, no, I don't think so, Cal. He goes, yeah, make sure you tell them that before they call me. Okay. But so Jim, Jeff, Bill, and Tim, if it's good enough for Cal Garvin and his wife, is it good enough for you? Just give me a thumbs up or give me a yes. All right.
Absolutely.
I got thumbs up, and you can call Cal. Okay. So these are the 2 stories. Okay. Everything else aside, the biggest thing people are going to say is it's too good to be true. My CPA hasn't heard about it. I don't think it's legal. They're going to look up some blog that some 1031 exchange person puts out and tries to tell you it's not legal because they don't want you to know about it. They're going to try to poke holes in this, but literally it's perfect, okay? It's perfect. And it really becomes easy after this, okay? It becomes clear and consistent that the track record is perfect. Thousands of closes, billions under management. There's lifetime audit defense, by the way, built in for every single deal, okay? And it's works as long as you work with professionals and know what they're doing, which is what we do here at Capital Gains Tax Solutions. So what is this step? Well,